Now, we've already talked about the nominative and the objective case of pronouns, so we're going to continue talking about pronoun case and move on to what's called the possessive case. Now, personal pronouns that show ownership or relationships are in the possessive case. Now, these are words we use all the time. It's not like you have to learn a whole new vocabulary. Now it's just putting it together with what it's actually called. So you can see from this little chart here, which I'm also going to put on Edmodo in the library, and I'll also put it on my webpage so you'll always have access to it. You can see that we have singular and plural pronouns, and they're in the first, second, and third person. And like I said, these are words that we use all the time, so it's not going to be anything complicated, but it's just now a matter of putting it with its first person singular, its second person plural, and knowing in your mind what goes with what. So you can use possessive pronouns in two ways. The first way is you can use it in place of a noun. And when you do this, it can function as a subject or an object. And if you look at my example, you'll see what I'm talking about. I started off by saying, I need a book on Australian myths. Then I said, can I borrow yours? Mine is at home. Now the word yours is used as a direct object, and the word mine is used as a subject. They're both referring to a book, but they're used in different ways. Now the second way you can use a possessive pronoun, you can use it to modify a noun or a gerund. And remember, gerunds are verbs that end in ing, but they work as nouns in a sentence. So let's look at the example. We learned their history. Now the word there is a possessive pronoun. It's modifying the noun history. So now we know which history is being referred to. And then we have the rest of our sentence through our reading. Reading, a gerund, ends in ing. It's being modified by the pronoun our. So now we know exactly what's going on. And as I've said before, remember a gerund acts as a noun. That's why we can use a possessive pronoun to modify it. So look at the example. Our sailing to Australia was a terrific experience. Sailing is a gerund. Our modifies it. Our is a possessive pronoun. So sometimes possessive pronouns can modify gerunds, so that's important to remember. You do not use a possessive pronoun with a participle. Now here's where it gets tricky, because sometimes participles look like gerunds. You need to look at the sentence and see what happened. Our friend watched us sailing away. Now in this sentence, sailing is used as a verb. If it's used as a verb, it's a participle, not a gerund. Gerunds are always used as nouns. So when you see a word with ing on the end, you need to look and see what is it doing in the sentence, because that will help you understand how you can use pronouns with it. You want to avoid confusing possessive pronouns with their sound-alike contractions. I see this problem all the time in writing, and I think it's just a matter of people get in a hurry and they're not really thinking through what's going on. So let's look at the examples. You're visiting Australia. When it has an apostrophe, it means you are. It's not the same as in the example, your book is here. Your, Y-O-U-R, no apostrophe, no E, means your that belongs to you. Your book is here. Let's look at the next one. They're painting a scene. Their, T-H-E-Y, apostrophe R-E, means they are. It's not the same word as their culture is so old. There is a possessive pronoun. It's referring to culture. Now let's move on to there's so much to see. There's, T-H-E-R-E apostrophe S, is a contraction for there is. It's not the same word as we have no songs like theirs, T-H-E-I-R-S. Even though they sound alike, they're not the same word and you can't use them interchangeably. Then we have one that's very common as far as people making mistakes with it. It's too bad we can't stay. When there's an apostrophe, it means it is. It's not the same word, even though it looks the same, as each landform has its story. ITS with no apostrophe is a possessive pronoun. That's probably the most common mistake that I see, and one that you really have to be on the watch for. Now, when you're using pronouns with words that end in ing, it can be tricky. When you want to stress the action, use a gerund with a possessive pronoun. In the example, his waiting is over. Waiting is the action. That's what we want to talk about the most, so we're going to use a gerund with the possessive pronoun, in this case, his. But when you want to stress the actor, use the objective form of the pronoun with a participle. Look at this one. I saw him waiting at the corner. So this is I. It's because that's the most important thing in the sentence in this particular case, is I saw him. So you need to decide what's most important in the sentence, and that will help you determine which way to go. So the possessive case. Hopefully this helped you, and I want you to understand that when you know how to properly use the possessive case of pronouns, your writing is going to be a lot clearer and easier to understand. And those are good things.